Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I am showing the JAN-uary book tag created by JAN-uary. This tag appears to be some type of New Year's reading tag where it's talking about books that you read near the end of 2021 and what you're starting your reading with in 2022. I will have Jan's video where they introduced the tag and did it themselves linked in the description box for anyone who wants to see that, and also to make sure you check out the original creator and how they completed the tag. But before we get started, I want to remind you to please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel to make finding my content just a little bit easier. First, I have what was the last book you read last year, and the first if you remember it. The first book I read in 2021 was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Wong, and I absolutely loved it. It was a great start to the year. And the last book I read in 2021 was The Fastest Way to Fall by Denise Williams. And it was another book that I loved and a great way to end the year as well. So 2021 had a great start and a great ending as far as reading went. 2 is What Is Your First Read This Year? I am currently in the middle of 2 reads. I am reading Witches Steeped in Gold by C.N. Smart and Not a Happy Family by, I believe, Sherry Lapina. I'm kind of neck and neck about which one will be the first completed book in 2022. Third is to share 3 of your reading goals for this year. First, I want to read 80 books, which is lower than my 2021 goal, but I know that the end of this year is going to be especially busy, so I want to set something that I have to strive for, but is still achievable, especially given that I don't know what my reading will look like by the end of this year. And so if I need to up at any point during the year, if I get like to the halfway point and I'm right at 80 books, I'll up it if I need to. The next goal is to try to read 6 nonfiction books. I really wish I would have read a few more nonfiction books in 2021. I just never got around to it. And so in 2022, I really want to try to make sure that I read at least 6. I feel like, that way I don't have to read one every month, but I can still fit them in and sneak them in here and there. And I have, I believe, 2 on hold on Libby's audiobooks. And so I'm just waiting for those to come through. And if I read both those and don't DNF them, they'll be my first 2 books that are nonfiction books and will make me a third of the way through that goal. My third reading goal for 2022 is to read 250 nights this year. For me, this means that I will be reading for at least 30 minutes before I go to bed. I will get in bed and I will read either an audiobook, physical book, or ebook for about 30 minutes. Preferably, it will be an ebook or a physical book, because if like an audiobook, I'm more likely to get distracted and do other stuff with, and I feel like that won't help me unwind as much as I would like for it to. And so ideally though, I will be reading an ebook or audiobook for 250 nights for 30 minutes before bed every night this year. I also have a tracker in my bullet journal to help me keep track of this goal and make sure I am striving to achieve it. Number 4 is to share 3 of your most anticipated titles. My first one is Blood Marked by Tracy Deonn. I am excited and really looking forward to what happens next in the Legendborn series. I want to know what Bree goes through. I want to know what's going to happen to her friends. I want to know what's going on, and I believe it comes out in July, and I can't wait. I am also really excited to read Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I had a really great time with the X Talk, and so I'm really looking forward to reading more by this author. And I believe Weather Girl comes out sometime in January. So either it's already come out or it's about to come out, depending on when this video goes up. And lastly, I have Book of Night by Holly Black. I loved the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. And I also want to try to read more adult fantasy, and this book just so happens to be an adult fantasy book. And so I'm looking forward to trying out more by Holly Black, and hopefully I'll enjoy it. 5 is which goals did you reach / not reach last year? And for me, the only really bookish goal I set was to read 60 books, which I met around June or July. So then I upped it to 100, which I met sometime in November. I met the only real reading goal I set in 2021. And I'm hoping that I will have the same success with all the goals I set in 2022. Next, are there 2022 releases that you've heard about that you're not interested in? At this point in time, I think I'm interested in every 2022 release that I've heard about. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I'm not interested in. And so if I've seen it and I'm not interested in it and it's not saved to my Goodreads, then I don't know about it, or I just don't remember it. I'm sure there's some books I just won't read throughout the year because I either don't have that much interest in them or I just don't have enough time. But at this point in time, there's no known releases that I don't care about. Next, what are some reading habits you want to change this year, if any? And for me, I want to focus more on my physical TBR. I've created a list of 22 books to read in 2022, and all of them are books in my physical TBR, and I want to make a dent in all the books I own. I want to also at the same time be a little bit more intentional about the books I buy. I want to focus more on only buying books that I really want to read right then and there, or books that I have already read and loved and know I will be rereading. I don't want to spend too much time just buying books for them to sell on my shelf without being read for forever. And next is, are there any adaptations you were excited for? And I don't think there are right now. So I'm not really a movie or TV show person. I don't typically just put them on. I don't typically watch them very much. It takes a lot for me to watch them. And typically it takes a lot of hype. So for example, I probably wouldn't have watched the Hating Game movie if it hadn't been all hyped up, because I didn't like the book that much, and also I'm just not a movie person, but I did end up watching the movie and I loved it. If something gets enough hype over the next few months, I might check it out. But in general, I don't think there's anything I'm particularly excited about right now, unless of course the second season of Shadow and Bone comes out this year, which I don't know if it does or not. But that's the only other show, bookish adaptation, that I'm actively watching. Next is my favorite bookish memory of last year, and I don't really know that I have very many bookish memories. I read my books, I interact a little bit on Instagram, I try to post on YouTube, and I do other stuff that I have going on. So I think I'm going to talk more so about my favorite bookish purchases, which are my reading chair, which I really like. I really like this chair. I finally got one for my room and I love it. And I also got a TBR card at the end of the year and I absolutely love it as well. I'm very excited. So far I don't have it filled up or anything yet, but I do have my January TBR books at the top of the top tier. And then lastly, are there any carryovers from last year that you still plan on finishing? And yes, for me that is Witches Steeped in Gold by Cian and Smart and Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. I started Witches Steeped in Gold, I would say somewhere around mid-December, and I've been reading it kind of slowly. First because it's a 5-star prediction and I don't want to rush through it and that affect my rating, but also because it's like a fantasy world and there's so much going on, there's so much about the setting, and like there's so many different abilities and like titles for all these characters. They're not really titles, but roles that all these characters have, that I want to like take it slowly, make sure I keep up with everything and see how it goes. And I started Not a Happy Family about the time I decided that I was kind of done reading for 2021. I was kind of done trying to achieve a certain amount of books read. I decided 108 was enough, and there was only like 2 or 3 days left in the year, and so I decided that I would take it slowly too. And so at this point in time, I'm carrying them both over and I can't tell which I will be finishing first. Anyways though, I'm very excited that I did this tag. Please be sure to check Jan's video if you've not checked it out, because they're the one who created the tag, and also I liked their video. Also, if you see this video and you want to do it, you are tagged. Feel free to be tagged. Anyways though, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I will talk to you later. Bye.